Welcome to Hudson Valley Knits. I am Amy, your host. I am Memers on Ravelry, and I am Memers66 on Instagram. I also have the website Hudson Valley Knits, where you could watch this podcast, or you could watch it on my YouTube channel, which is Hudson Valley Knits as well. It has been 3 months, and there is a lot of reasons it's been 3 months, and some are good and some are not so good, but I'm gonna not talk about that right now. I am going to talk about knitting to start, and if you want to know what's been going on, you can wait and I will chit-chat in the end. Well, I just got a text from my daughter saying, "I love you, Mom." And that, just makes my day. Anyway, this is episode 99. I am almost at 100, and honestly, folks, August will be the 5-year anniversary of when I started recording on my blog. And I say recording on my blog because I didn't even know what a podcast was when I first started this, and I didn't know there were knitting podcasts. I was uploading things into YouTube and putting the link in my blog because I hated typing, and I'm at a computer all day, and it was nicer for me to talk about and show my knitting live than to take pictures and upload and type, and yeah, I much prefer this methodology. Anyway, so I am going to do something, but more on that, I guess, when we get closer to August, which, I can't promise anything because there's a lot of change going on, and I will talk about that later. But if I can't do it in August, I will do it, and I have a really special skein to give away to celebrate 5 years of sharing with you guys. So I am not really 100% sure what I've talked about or not since in that last episode back in March. I know it was right after Stitches United, but I think I had started this sweater. This is the Ragna sweater. It was on the Mason Dixie knitters. They had their March Madness, and this was one of the yoke sweaters on their list, and I fell in love with it. And I bought the pattern. I don't tend to do, I do pullovers, but I wanted more of a cardigan that I could wear at work when it gets chilly in the office, take on and off, more than I wanted something to pull over and wear as a garment throughout the day. So I decided to join the knit along that Fruity Knitting did, the Modify Your Garment Cal, and I thought this would be a great chance to get some practice in modifying. And so I changed it from a pullover to a cardigan, and I knit it with a superwash wool, O-Wool, which is an organic superwash wool. It's safe for the environment. They go to the Rhinebeck every year, and I love their colors, and I picked all the colors in the yoke I had gotten in Rhinebeck, and then I ordered this color, and I don't remember the colors. I don't think I have the bands handy. I'm looking in the project bag. I don't have the bands handy, but it's all on my project page, including details about modifications. I just finished this on the last day of the cal, just in time to post the picture, which was not a good one because it was yesterday, and yesterday, which was July 1st, it was like 96 degrees here in New York, and I was home alone, so I didn't have anybody to take a picture for me, but there was no way I was going outside and setting up the tripod to take a picture. It was disgusting isn't even the word. And plus, I was doing a lot of work outside because we're trying to clean up the backyard and we're getting ready to kind of paint the outside of the house in the back there. So I was just a hot, sweaty mess yesterday. It was terrible. Anyway, let me stand up and show you my cardigan. Now, I'll go over all the details. I did get gauge. I don't have the gauge swatch handy. It is packed away, but I did the whole yoke pattern twice. I did 2 repeats, and then I did a good 4 inches of the stockinette stitch, and I washed it, and I kind of stretched it out a little when I blocked it, cause and I got gauge. I adjusted it. One of the things I adjusted is I put extra let me just see. I put extra short rows in the back. I think you can see how high it goes up, right? Because where I sit and work, I have the AC is like right above my head, and it blows on my neck, and unless my hair is down, I just freeze. And so I did extra short rows there. I did make it a little longer because I like it to go like halfway down my butt, but I didn't. This is my lesson learned, guys. The gauge swatch did not truly represent the finished garment because the weight after washing stretched this out a lot. So it's about a good 4 inches longer than I would have liked. You can't see. Let me see if I can. Let me see. It goes halfway. It goes all the way down my butt, and I really kind of wanted it more up here, right? Just so it kind of goes halfway down, but it's still okay. But one of the downsides was if I walk around with it open, it just kind of, it doesn't hold the yoke shape very well. So what I did to help with that is I put, I put some ribbon on the button band to help support it so that this wouldn't stretch as much. And if I button a few buttons, it kind of keeps the button band in place, the buttonhole side in place. So it does kind of, it's a little droopy in the neck as well. But overall, I'm really happy with it. It's super soft. It's a gorgeous yarn. And I love it. I love it. I love it. Everything, just, the sleeves are the perfect length. I like them a little long. I can't wait to wear this in the fall. Maybe I'll wear it to Rhinebeck. It'll be good because at Rhinebeck, I'm taking this off now because today it's 96 degrees. I am working from home. I know it doesn't look like I'm working, but I am working from home today, and so this is my lunchtime, and I figured I'd podcast. I do have to keep, I have my work computer open because it's our month-end close, and I have to be available in case there are any technical issues. So even when I'm on lunch, and even at the end of the day, until they send me the email saying, okay, we're done with workday 1, I have to kind of be online. So I'm just letting you know. All right, so another thing I am working on that I know I talked about are the socks for my manager. And I talked about, I think the last time it was Sandy who was like, there's just no way that's going to fit your manager, a man. And she was right. She was absolutely right. And so I brought them back to work, and I made him try them on again with me watching. And what he was doing is he was putting the whole heel part under his foot. I'm like, what are you doing? You don't wear a sock like that. And he's like, I don't know. So anyway, I am just starting the toe on the first one. Why so small, you might say? Well, there are a couple of reasons, and one is the obvious, is I've been working primarily on that sweater to get it done for the cow. The other one I'll talk about later. But that's where I am with this. He is no longer my boss. I think I mentioned that he wouldn't be in the last podcast. They're totally reorganizing the whole IT department for all of the companies that my mother company owns. So there's a lot of changes going on, and one is that I won't report to him anymore. But he'll still get his socks. Definitely when they're ready, they're ready. I got plenty of time because he's not going to wear them in the summer, right? And yeah, so that's that. The other thing I have, which I'm pretty sure I didn't even have the yarn for when I talked to you, is a pattern that I was coveting and waiting for forever. I watched the Joji Locatelli journal, which is her kind of version of a podcast, I guess. I think she's only on YouTube, but she's such she's so sweet, and she shares most of her design process on as she designs it. She doesn't keep it a secret. And her mom was knitting up this design she made called the Fading Point, which is based on her another pattern, which I have on my queue, but I haven't made, Starting Point. And I just was loving it. I was thinking of trying to get the La Bien-Aimée fade packs that were dyed up for this, but I instead went to my favorite dyer, Spirit Trail Fiberworks. Her name is Jen, and I sent her a picture of a succulent plant, and it was a beautiful green with a little bit of purple at the ends, and I told her to pink it up a little. And this is the fade that she came up with for me. This is the right side. This is 1/2. So we go from like a dark green to a lighter green to kind of like a pale yellow. And then we go from the palest lavendery pink to a darker pink. And she just nailed it for me. I love this. This is in her Aurora. That's her merino singles. And she called it the Succulent Fade. And I am going to love this thing. So, it smells good too. I have been spending a lot of time on this. There was a cowl, but I knew I couldn't finish it in time because of the sweater I was working on that I showed you. But here's 1/2. And here's how far I am on the other half. I am just on starting the 3rd color. It's a great knit. It's really kind of potato chippy in some areas, and I just I love it. And this is predominantly what I've been working on. So I have that. Love it so much. I love Spirit Trail Fiberworks. It's spirittrail.net, I think, is her website. You really can highly recommend her enough. Alright, so another thing that got me going, that kind of made me, I like saw it and had to cast on, is a pattern by Isabell Kraemer. Do I not have it printed out? I do. Okay, it is, I don't know too much about it, but I know every year she goes on an excursion with good friends, and she designs a pattern specifically with sitting and chatting and knitting in mind. It's like a community knitting design, and I know the picture is really dark. It's called La Vie Est Belle. Dieppe. I have no idea what that means. Does she say what it means? She doesn't say what it means, but here's the picture. It's a cowl that looks like a shawl. Well, you can hardly see it at all because it's a dark yarn in her project picture. Is there another one? Yeah, but it's not much better. This is a great design. I'm using some deep stash that is left over from a Rosemary Hill shawl that I knit years ago. It's like the most beautiful yarn. It's Spirit Trail Fiberwork. This is silk and merino, and this is, well, let me pull it out. This is, these bases she doesn't even dye anymore. So the one is called Connemara, is the colorway name, and the line was called Penelope, and it's 50% bombic silk and 50% merino, and that's this one. It's so shiny, and it has that beautiful silky smell. The other one is called Neath. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's 50% cashmere and 50% bombic silk. So I am knitting it in 2 colors. It's designed for one, but I decided to do the lace part in one color and the garter in another. And here it is so far. I haven't worked on it in a few weeks, but oh, if you could feel this, oh my God. And I think the colors go beautiful together. Oh, it's so gorgeous. I can't wait to finish this. But anyway, I've got a lot of really simple potato chippy knitting kind of designs on the needles now, and it just worked out that way. And now she also had a cowl, but I couldn't, I knew I couldn't do it. So I have that. What else do I got? I think these, those 3 projects, those 3 whips, plus the sweater I just finished, really kind of all I've been seriously working on. What is in here? Oh, okay. This is, I just have a bag ready with my next sock project, which I'm not even close to ready to cast on because I still have another sock to knit for my manager. So that doesn't count. And I don't think I did. I've done a little bit on my rose gold shawl by Andrea Mowry. This is going to be a Christmas present for my sister. Here it is. It's a brioche project. Let me show you the cover page. You'll recognize it, I'm sure. It's pretty popular. Rose gold. I'm going to try and make one for each of my sisters, but I'm kind of behind in my knitting goals for the year. I'll explain why later, but I'm going to try and make one for both of my sisters. I wanted to make one for my mom too, but I know that's not going to happen. But here's where I am so far. Just still on the brioche, plain brioche part. Here's one side. Oh, I have a progress keeper there, so you can see where I left off, how much I've done since I last podcast. And I'm going to move that now. My progress keeper are these stitch markers I bought, and you might recognize them. Oops. You see them around. Well, they're too thick really to use for me. They put too much space in between the stitches because it's too thick, and it's on a bulky weight project that it's kind of small. So I basically put one of those light bulb pins, and I just use it as a progress keeper. So I'm going to replace that. So next time I show this to you, we'll see how much I've done. So my knitting guild has been doing brioche cowl, so I've only been working on it at the knitting guild. So I really love it though. And I think when I finish the fading point, I'm going to pick this back up and pursue it a little more aggressively. All right, so a quick, that's all I'm really working on, I think, right? Yeah, that's all I've been working on. Getting something else to show you. And actually during the time that I podcast last, I had been starting to have some issues with my thumb, mostly my thumb right here. A little bit in the wrist, a little bit up the arm. Classic repetitive stress, inflammation going on, and shortly after my last podcast, I stopped knitting for like 2 weeks, and then I just broke down, and I'm putting my hair up. It's hot. I'm sorry. And I just couldn't. And then I did start knitting again, but not nearly as much. And I tried to find other things to do. And you know what? Hold on 1 second, because I'm going to get something to show you. One of the things I was doing. Sorry. Now I figured, yeah, so I was trying to give my hand a break from the repetitiveness that knitting does. I also, for work, and this helped tremendously, so I'm going to share this with you. I got these ergonomically correct mouse. I got one for work and one for home. And I think, did I put it away? I think one of the major causes, and it's just my opinion, is I was using this trackpad with my Apple computer, and your finger is always like this, and my thumb was always sticking out, and I'm, doing like, and this is not a good position for your hand to be stuck in all day. And I think that since I've stopped using this and using the other mouse, a huge improvement. Plus, I haven't been knitting nearly as much, but I have been doing other things. And one of them was at our knitting guild meeting, we had these guests come, and I can't remember their name, but they sold kits to crochet and bead jewelry. So I bought 2 kits. These are gorgeous pearl and crystal beads. And I made this. And I also bought another kit from them. I loved it. It was $50 for the kit, but these are really nice quality beads. These are really pretty. And I love this one. It's called Confetti. And it's great. I'll try and find the information and post it in the show notes for you. But I did those. I was able to make one in a couple of hours, or less even. I don't know. The other thing I've been doing is I had a craftsy embroidery class in my queue, so I started watching that, and I did a little bit of practice, and then I went ahead and bought one of these samplers. I think I could see I'm not nearly as done with it. It's kind of getting washed out, so I have to hold it. There's still a lot of stitching to do, but it really helped me fulfill my creative urges, and while I was abstaining from knitting. I saw Joanne from Knit Spin Farm. I follow her on Instagram, and she was posting these, and I'm like, that's what got me to go and buy the kit. So I have a couple of other kits that I bought. I haven't started yet, but I haven't done any embroidery ever since my wrist started feeling better. I got right back to the knitting, but I really enjoyed it. I really like the embroidery, and I think I'll be doing more of this now and then. It's really enjoyable, fulfilling. So enough about that. One of the reasons why I wasn't podcasting was I wasn't really knitting much, but there was another reason. So I'm going to talk personal life stuff now. So if you are done with me, I will hopefully see you again soon. I can't promise any kind of regular schedule, but I will try. I will do my best, and it's definitely not over, but you'll find out when you hear my major announcements coming up that things are going to change drastically in the near future. So, what's been happening? The end of March, I podcast, and then shortly after, my husband and I decided our house needed kind of like a facelift. So I bought the house. I was still single when I bought the house in 2005. Mark and I got married in 2007. So I was a single mom when I bought the house. Amy, it's tomorrow. It's July 3rd now. Yes, the previous recording was yesterday. I had to cut it short because of some work stuff that came up, but I'm on lunch now. It's July 3rd, like I said, so my company lets us out early today because it's the day before a holiday, although I'm still on call. I have my computer flap down, so no interruptions. I was getting started or had started talking to you about what's been going on since I last podcast at the end of March. I think I mentioned that Mark and I were deciding it was time to reclaim the space in our house and give it a facelift. So my mother-in-law moved out. She had been staying with us for a while, recovering from a broken femur bone, in case you haven't been watching. And both of my kids are out and on their own. But I used to keep the extra bedroom with their old bed in there. In case one of them was visiting, they had a place to stay. But I decided to make that an office, and I cleaned out the living room, which was easy. After my mother-in-law moved out and we got rid of our hospital bed, we had pretty much an empty living room. And we picked out a really nice color, painted it. There's still no couch in there. We ended up throwing out our old couch, which was in bad shape. And my mother-in-law is going to buy us a new one as a thank you for letting her stay here, which is nice. But we haven't done that yet. The extra bedroom, I got rid of Rachel's bed, and I was planning on making that an office. That's all painted down too. So I did a lot of work in April, and that on top of some already existing inflammation from knitting and working on computers gave me some repetitive stress injury. So on my right hand, mostly right here in my thumb, just around the joint is where it's most painful. It's getting better. But for most of April, I didn't podcast because I was busy cleaning up the house and painting and whatnot. And I was having trouble knitting, really. And when I did knit, I was working on that sweater to get it done for the cowl. So that's pretty much what happened to April. Beginning of May, Mark and I took a trip to St. Louis. So I don't know exactly how much detail I've given, but in past podcasts, but I know I've mentioned that there's a reorg going on, not just in my department, but in I work in ISIT, and all the companies that my mother company owns in North America, including Canada, are being lumped into one company. So they're taking the IT department from all of their U.S. and Canadian companies and making one IT company to support them. because we're all in the same system, same network, same chart of accounts, and we all roll up to the same mother company. So we share a lot of the same programs, and even the custom programs are very similar. So it would be easy for me to learn the quirks about how like another company uses that and be able to support it from a technical standpoint. So the beginning of May, the company sponsored a trip for people that were offered jobs in St. Louis, where the new company is going to be headquartered. And Mark and I decided to take the trip, even though in our minds we were certain we would never, relocate. We both grew up here in the Hudson Valley. We both love it in the Hudson Valley. Both of us have our families in the Hudson Valley. So we went down, and a lot of my coworkers were there too. Everybody had this opportunity. It wasn't just me. And they gave us a tour of all the different neighborhoods surrounding the city of St. Louis. Talked about real estate. Took us out for dinners. Took us to a Cardinals baseball game, which was fun. So it was a nice week. And on the last day, it was kind of a free day to do what you wanted. And Mark and I decided to hook up with a real estate person who was awesome. Her name is Sarah, I want to say Bravo, down in St. Louis. She's so nice and kind and amazing. And she picked up on what we liked really quickly. So highly recommend if you're in St. Louis looking for a house. I think her name was Sarah Bravo. But really, by the end of that day, we decided that it was worth thinking about the relocation. As far as our moms go, both of our moms are kind of, they're my mom's in good shape, but they're old, but they're not alone. So Mark's brother lives here and is very involved in helping his mom out, and so she would always be here for Mark's mom. He would always be here for Mark's mom, and my sister lives right near my parents in upstate New York, so my parents are covered. Both my kids are out of the house. My son does have some special needs, but my family was very encouraging in that they are here for him, and also, if anything should happen, I would just be a 2-day drive or a 3-hour plane ride away. So, with all that considered, and just simply the fact that I really do love what I do, and I really like the company I work for a lot. It's a great company to work for. I knew all the people that would be in my new department, and that my new manager, and they're all great people. So I accepted the offer, and I am going to be moving to St. Louis. It was really unexpected. We had no plans whatsoever. Like, in my mind, you couldn't pay me enough to leave Hudson Valley. That's how much I love it here. You all know how much I love it here, but I decided that it's not often, like, not a lot of people can say they love what they do for a living. It does not have to be permanent. I can come back here if I want. I can always come back and visit. I have family that lives here. I have multiple people I could stay with. I already told my sister and my brother-in-law that I will be staying with them every year during the third weekend in October, so that I can go to Rhinebeck. And if I don't stay with them, I can stay with Sandy. You all know Sandy, my good knitting buddy, my good friend. And there are some beautiful places to hike and be outdoors in the St. Louis area. I've already checked it out. Everybody I talked to, and a lot of them I knew from when they lived up here in the Northeast, and have relocated to St. Louis, have nothing but good things to say about the move and are very happy living there, and their families are happy. So there was just a lot of good reasons to reconsider it, and Mark and I decided that we're going to move. So that is one of the major life change. Well, that is the life-changing event. So we have been crazy busy trying to get the house ready to put on the market. You know, if you've been watching this podcast, that I've done my bathroom and kitchen. So they're both in great shape. And I just painted the living room. And all I had to do was some minor repairs to a window that was old and had to be replaced. And then our walk-in closet, which is the door right behind me, it was, you know, we had sheetrock up or drywall, whatever you call it, but we just screwed it in. We didn't put joint compound on or paint it or anything, and the floor was just plank floors, old plank floors. We never put a nice floor down because it was a closet. We just kind of threw a rug over that, and it was filled with stuff. So we cleaned it out, and excuse me. Another thing that went on was Mark had to have knee surgery for a torn meniscus. And because of that, he was unable physically to work on the closet. So my brother-in-law, my sister Kim's husband, came down one weekend and every day after work for 1 week. God bless him. And he helped me do that. And he also did some minor not sheetrocking, but taping and spackling to tidy up some, little holes in the walls from screws and just that kind of thing. There was a big chip in the ceiling in our kitchen because I think it was like a thermos had something in it that had kind of been sitting in there a long time, and when Mark unscrewed the thermos, the lid went flying and hit the ceiling. So we kind of just some touch-up stuff he did, and he helped me carry some heavy stuff to a storage place because we, need to declutter. Not that we're hoarders or anything, but trying to get stuff to a minimum. So a lot of our books I packed up, all my yarn, all my winter clothes, and Mark's winter clothes, of course. What else? We just packed up a lot of extra stuff. I couldn't believe how much stuff. We are keeping Rachel's bed because when we move, we'll probably have a couple extra bedrooms and we can use it. So that's in storage. And I'm going to be moving even more stuff to storage. So we did that. Mark, actually, his knee is doing much better. He's painted the outside of the house, cleaned up the yard. Nothing major need to be done out there. And did that window that I talked about. So all I have to do now is paint this bedroom, pack up all the knickknacks on the shelves and stuff, and Mark's got to clean out his office. That's the other door behind me. Wow. That's all I'm going to say is, wow. Good luck, Mark. Leave me out of it. And, and then we just got to kind of clean up and stage the house. So I'm hoping 2 or 3 weeks we'll be able to get the house on the market. I have to be relocated by the end of October. So we'll just see how it goes. If I sell the house quick, though, I'm not going to be up here in October. But I would buy a plane ticket and fly here for Rhinebeck. I will be going to Rhinebeck come hell or high water. And, I have to tell my new boss that. He's a great guy. I've met him a couple of times already. I knew of him. I'd heard of him before, and never worked with him. But I've heard great things about him, and I've since met him and talked to him on the phone and all this, and he's just seems like a great guy. So I'm, again, very fortunate to be working with wonderful people. Ever since I switched from accounting to IT, career-wise, I've been so happy, just mostly because of the people I work with. It's amazing what a difference that can make. You could have the worst job in the world, but if you work with good people, people that are kind and have your back and understanding and all that, the way, and who are encouraging and who help develop you and all these things that are important if you're to be a good manager, who encourage teamwork and working together to solve problems instead of you go figure it out and stop bothering me kind of attitude. Wow, what a difference that makes. So, and that's part of why I wanted to stay with this company, because the company I work with encourages that, trains their leaders and managers, I mean like invests money and trains them to be a leader by example, to lead by encouraging, to lead by example, to nurture and develop, and instead of putting people down and not sharing information. They also teach people to work together to solve problems instead of trying to figure things out by yourself. And you actually get recognition when you solve things as a group. So yeah, a lot of great things coming. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited for the change. And I really think I am going to love my new home in St. Louis. It was we've only spent a week there, but we really think, from what we've seen and what we heard from all my other coworkers that work down there, it's a great place to live. So I'm looking forward to it. I will miss my Hudson Valley, but it will always be here. And yeah, so my wrist is doing better. I want to talk about that because I know other podcasts have brought up that sort of thing and how to relieve that problem. We did actually have a speaker at our knitting guild that talked about that, and he gave us a whole bunch of exercises, which I think I have right here. Yeah, it's right here. He worked at a rehabilitation center, and he talked about, all the muscles that we use, and where is it here? Rest it, put ice on it, compression, so a little bandage wrap or anything, and elevation. Because if your joints get swollen, which is what happens when they're inflamed. And then he did all these exercises, and we did them in the meeting. It was very helpful. So I've been doing these as he suggested. And then I invested $20 each in these, and this is probably charged by now, rechargeable, do I have the box? Yeah. Ergonomically correct mouse. So this, it's compatible with you can't use the back and forward button on the Mac, but this has been a game changer. I've noticed significant improvement since I started using these, and I am recommending it. So here's the box. It was $20, and it's optical vertical mouse, speed adjustable. Here's the box. I don't know if it's, I don't even see a brand name. Designed in the vertical shape. I don't see a brand name. I got it on Amazon. It's amazing, and it's rechargeable, so you can hook it up to your computer with a USB and charge it up, so you don't have to keep buying batteries. So this is it. Rechargeable, excellent saved my wrist. It still hurts, mostly because of all the painting I've been doing, because using the roller really was hurting my wrist and hand. However, I've been using my left hand as much as possible, and it's doing better. But for a while there, for a few weeks, I wasn't knitting at all because it was so painful. What else is going on? That's about it. Yeah, so this does mean a couple of big changes. One is my podcast name is Hudson Valley Knits, and I won't be here anymore. And I wonder if that means I should change the name of my podcast. I don't know. I don't want to. I still feel like the Hudson Valley is a big part of who I am. So I don't want to change the name, but what's your thoughts on that? And then the other thing I actually thought about before I decided is I wouldn't be able to visit the seniors at the nursing home anymore. You guys all know I do the senior love along every year, and that's where we have a holiday party for the seniors at the Veterans Nursing Home in Montrose, New York. And I also spend time, I usually go there on actual holidays like Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day to visit with some of the residents that don't have family to visit them. And sometimes I just go on a regular day, like on my work from home day, and visit. So I won't be doing that anymore, at least not this year. Maybe I'll find some place down there, over there in St. Louis, that I can do something similar. Because I really do feel that our seniors don't get treated well enough, and that they need a lot of love and a lot more respect. And I'd like to try and do something about that no matter where I live. But for now, there is no senior love alone this year. I'm sorry if you were making washcloths already in anticipation of that, but I won't be collecting them because I actually still have tons left over from previous years, which I usually, I just save and use the next year. So that's basically my news, and I will try and podcast again. I don't know when. I don't think I will have time to podcast again during the month of July. Maybe once the house is on the market, I can get one in. But I won't be having much time to knit, so I don't know how much I'll have to show you. But maybe I can give you a little video walkthrough of my house after I'm done painting and stuff, and you can see what it looks like. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for listening in, and thanks for being so understanding, and thanks for all the thoughtful messages that a lot of you sent me the past month or so. I really appreciate it, knowing that you're all thinking of me and you were all worried about me. So everything's good. Thanks again. Bye-bye.